A very warm welcome to the second lecture, and today together we'll try to learn drug absorption in this lecture. So in continuation with the previous lecture, we'll start this lecture from the mechanism of drug absorption. So let me remind you, when the drug from the oral route, when it reaches to your stomach, for getting completely absorbed to get into the systemic circulation, drug when in the solution form have to cross the biological membranes or various biological barriers which is available in the body. So to crossing that membrane, what kind of mechanism is involved, what kind of pathway they follow, what kind of driving force behind these mechanisms. So today we'll see all of these things in this lecture. So starting from the mechanism, basically we have divided these kind of transportation basically into three categories. The first one, as you can see, the transcellular, that is also called intracellular transport, because in the transcellular transport, drug has to enter into the cell and then reach to the another side of the cell by the force like passive diffusion, or you can say the carrier mediated. So the transcellular further divided into two types also. One is the passive transport, another one is the active transport. So now we are coming to the second part of the mechanism or the transport, that is paracellular. As you can see in the diagram, in between the two cells or in between the cells, there are the few spaces are left. Got it? So drug can also cross the membrane or can reach from one side to the another side by these kind of spaces available in the cells. So these are also called as intercellular transport, and these kind of transportation are further divided into two types. One is the permeation through tight junctions, another one is the persorption. So now the last one, as you can see in the diagram also, the drug also in this case also entering into the cytoplasm and crossing to the another side. But how it is different from transcellular, in this case the vesicle formations are there. When the drug come into contact with the cell membrane, the vesicle formation take place. So it is also again divided into two types, pinocytosis and phagocytosis. So let's discuss in detail. So now we are coming to transcellular, that is the first one. It is divided into two types, as we have also studied in the previous lecture, but previous slide. So now we are seeing that this classification is based upon the energy requirement. Got it? So transcellular again is of two type, passive transport and the active transport on the basis of energy requirement. As we can see, in the passive transport there is no energy requirement, and in the active process energy is required. Passive transport, where the energy is not required, is further divided into four types. First one is the passive diffusion, second is the pore transport, third one is the ion pair transport, and fourth one is the facilitated or any kind of mediator transport. So now we are coming to active process. As the name suggests, energy is involved and it is of two types. One is the primary active transport, another one is the secondary active transport, and secondary active transport is further divided into symport and antiport. So let's see the passive diffusion. This is the first part of the passive you can say transportation, passive transportation. Now we will discuss passive. Passive diffusion is the major absorption process because it is responsible for the absorption of 90% of the drug. Also, it is also called as a non-ionic diffusion. The driving force here in the passive diffusion is concentration gradient, or we can say electrochemical gradient. This kind of you can say driving force like concentration gradient is nothing but the difference in the concentration, not it. So it also, the passive diffusion also depends upon Fick's first law of diffusion. So what the Fick's first law states, that rate of diffusion, yani it is represented by dq by dt, that is rate of diffusion, is equal to dak divided by h into concentration gradient. So what the d stands for, let's see. D stands for diffusion coefficient of the drug, A stands for surface area of the absorbing membrane, and K stands for partition coefficient of drug between membrane and the aqueous phase. Cg minus Cp is the concentration gradient, or in the another word we can say difference in the concentration from the site of administration to the plasma. H stands for thickness of the membrane, you can say, where it is to be absorbed, from where it will going to be absorbed, that is the thickness of your GIT, here it relates to. So now we are coming to pore transport. It is also called as convective transport, bulk flow, or we can say filtration also. In this process, important is the absorption of low molecular weight less than 100 dalton. Generally they are water soluble, must be water soluble, and these, the example of these kind are sugar, urea, and water also. So many exceptional are also there. The chain like structure like linear compound, any kind of alkane which are having even the molecular weight of 400 dalton, they can also cross this the membrane by this kind of mechanism. So drug permeation through water filled channel is important in renal excretion, a removal of drug from the cerebrospinal fluid, and the entry of drug into the liver also. So now we are coming to the ion pair transport. Ion pair transport, as you can see in the diagram, the any drug which get ionized at all pH, when it enter to your stomach it will get ionized, and then the ionized part, active ionized part, when binds to the counter ion which is available already in your stomach, or that is endogenous in the nature, which is synthesized by the body and available at the site of absorption. So it will bind, that counter ion will bind with the drug ion and leads to the formation of neutral ion pair complex. This complex will move from the site of absorption to the desired the another side by the passive diffusion, and then after reaching there in the blood it get dissociated and the free drug will be available for the mechanism of action. For example, the propranolol is one of that basic drug that will be transferred. If you take it, it will be transferred with the help of ion pair transportation or ion pair transport, and this drug after getting ionized in the stomach will bind with oleic acid and finally get absorbed to the blood. So now we are coming to the facilitated diffusion, as this is also a kind of diffusion, but how it is different from the previous one, because this will, in this case also there is no energy is involved, no ATP is involved, and even it is taking along the concentration gradient, and you can see there is no energy requirement. But it is far different from that what we have discussed before, because here the carrier is involved, and one intrinsic factor, as you can see in the diagram, and the example of vitamin B12 is there. Vitamin B12 will bind with the intrinsic factor available in your stomach, and then it bind to the carrier available in your biomembrane, and then transfer to the another side where it get released into the blood, and they are available for the further use. So now we are coming to the active transport. As the name suggests, or we have already discussed in the previous slides, that energy requirement will be there in this kind of transportation. So primary transportation can also take place against the concentration gradient, and in the classification we have also studied, it is of two types. One will be the primary active transport, another will be the secondary active transport. So now in this slide we are discussing primary active transport. The primary active transport is the transport in which direct ATP requirement will be there, and in this process the transfer of the drug, or you can say that molecule, or you can say ion, can take place only one direction, one molecule in one direction at a time, so that it is called as a uniporter. Also this kind of transportation is called as a uniporter. So example is the absorption of simple glucose molecule. So in the diagram it is very clear that during the binding of drug and the carrier, the ATP is involved, so it is the energy dependent, so that's why it is called as active transport, and primary because there is a direct involvement of ATP. So now we are coming to the secondary active transport. In the secondary active transport, we can see there is no direct requirement of the energy in the transfer of a drug molecule. In this case, why it is called as a secondary? Because in the transportation, the energy involved in the transportation of one molecule is helping to the transportation of the another molecule, so which is desirable. Got it? So there is an indirect involvement of ATP, and simultaneously the two molecules are moving either in the same direction or in the opposite direction. On the basis of direction, this active secondary active transport is again further divided into two types. Symport, when we call it symport, as you can see in the diagram, if with the directions of arrows we can understand, if the transportation is taking place in the same direction, then it is called as a symport, and if the transportation of the molecules or the counter ions are taking in the opposite direction, then it is called as an antiport. So this is the basic concept of secondary active transport. Let me remind you again what is the difference between primary and the secondary active transport. In the primary, there is a direct involvement of energy in the transport, and in case of secondary active transport, there is an indirect requirement of ATP. So now we are coming to paracellular. देखिए paracellular transport is of very less use when we talk about the transportation of the drug, but it is also involved in some like molecules like insulin and some kind of nutrients also. So paracellular, as we have discussed earlier, this is the movement of a molecule not into the drug, into the cell. It is the movement in between the cells, when the drug molecules will pass the spaces which is available in between two cells. So it is further divided into two types: permeation through the tight junctions of the epithelial cells, and the second one is the persorption. Permeation through the tight junction means the spaces which is available in between two cells, and or you can say the pore like passages, those who are available in between cells. When drugs enter into these spaces and reach to the another side, then it is called as permeation through tight junctions. And the persorption means when the drugs passes through a temporary opening formed by shedding of two neighboring epithelial cells into the lumen. Got it? So now we are coming to the last part, that is the vascular transport. It is also called as endocytosis. In this case, again I am telling you that energy is involved. It is energy dependent kind of mechanism, but in this case what happens basically, when a macromolecule, because this kind of transportation is very much you can say easier for macromolecules transportation. So when a macromolecules come in contact with the cell membrane, membrane engulf it and make a vesicle. This vesicle cross through the cytoplasm to the another side and release the macromolecule to the another side or into the blood, so that it is available for the further use. So the example what we can give is the starch molecules, fat molecules, vitamin A, D, E, K, and other water soluble vitamins also can cross through this membrane. So basically this transportation is for macromolecules. So these macromolecules can be available in the liquid form or in the solid form. So if the engulfing of solid take place, then it is called as a phagocytosis, and if the engulfing of liquid take place, then it is called as a pinocytosis. Phagocytosis is also called as cell eating, and pinocytosis is also called as cell drinking. So this is all about the vesicular transport. Thank you all of you. Have a nice day.